let me ask you boys this. I think this is a great topic to dive into we're kind of hit it already. How's your definition of a man changed over time? Maybe in our youth, what did it mean? What was a man to you? Maybe growing up, and then how what does it mean to you now? What do you got?
Yeah. So growing up, I mean, Chip, same thing, right? My definition of a man was like, okay, how's my dad, right? Because that's like I think most guys do that.
Hmm.
Oh, what's my dad like? And I love my father, right? But I think a lot of it, as is true for a lot of people, like the communism aspect that he had to go through, kind of shifted, personalities.
Mm.
So he definitely did the best he could, but obviously there's going to be things I agree with and disagree with. But I always thought, even growing movies, wow, man, he's heroic. Like
Yeah,
he
he's a
just blew
hero,
up that castle, and he jumped out, not a single mark. Like you gotta be strong. You
and he
gotta be
gets the
this.
girl in the end. Oh,
Yeah,
sweet.
and somehow there's conveniently a car right there that he can drive away with.
He can
So
drive stick shift. Wow.
yeah, it's been a lot of like what society wants it to be, right?
Hmm.
And I think a lot of guys that applies to, right? You saw like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movies, and Chuck Norris and all these things, and it's like, well, that's a man. So it's always the warrior physical.
Hmm.
But then I started dating
Oh.
my wife, right? And I still thought a lot of that for like most of it, but by the time I think I got to like college, I'm like, I also have to be like kind and all these other things. There's different levels to this, and then marriage has taught me that whatever I thought a man was, not right.
Mm.
And I'm very grateful for it because it's taught me there's also a side of emotions to it, right? And it's very different when when you have someone else depending on you, but you're also depending on someone else.
Yeah.
Because that's how marriage goes, right?
Yeah.
Can't do everything on my own, but she also can't do everything on her own.
Mm.
And I think that's been the most humbling and difficult things to learn about being a man. And I'm sure fatherhood does that on a whole different level for people.
Mm.
So it's shifted to now where I value more like emotions, right? And trying to get in tune with that and being an understanding person and also being a forgiving person and putting other people before myself. So now like I don't get angry often. And if it happens, I'd say it's pretty rare.
Mm.
But it's been through that journey that's made that happen. So now, like, if you tell me, like, oh, society's image of the man, I go, yeah, and so what?
Mm.
Realistically, I only have to be a man for one person at this point, and that's my wife, right? And obviously, people I consider family and friends, and, I only have to be a man for people I care about being a man. I don't care what anyone else thinks,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
You can call me whatever you want. I don't care. So it's shifted a lot. It's not that typical like you have to be strong, you have to do this, you have to do this. There's no manual that says these are the requirements to be a man. The requirements are what I understand being a man biblically. And through my experience also, you know. So I guess it really shifted once I like started looking into religion more, which was when I started dating my wife, right? We would go to church together, and I'm like, oh. And it really hit me because she was new to faith. She's like, you want me to be like, you want me to get closer to God, but you yourself are not doing it. And I was like,
Oh,
oh, that's the accountability I needed. Where she goes, you say religion is so important, but you don't show me that. And I'm like, dang.
Man, I love you so much.
Yeah, like calling me out, like
Yeah.
really hurt my ego, but in a way motivated me, because I'm like, here she is, someone new, and she's calling me out. And that's from a place of love. So I started looking into more and more, and that's really when I say it's dating, but it's also because I took that next step spiritually. And through discovering that, I discovered different aspects. And so my definition changed a lot. So now I don't think anyone's a man based on what you have, or, what kind of house you live in. Like, show me how your marriage is. Show me how your friendships are. Show me, how, like, the relationship you have with your kids. If your kids, like, are happy to be around you, that's what being a man is. Show me you're strong in faith and you have good moral values and you're willing to speak up when something's not right. And that you're an honest person. That's what being a man is. Sorry, that was long-winded.
No, that's beautifully said, man. I love that.
I mean, what more can I add to
You, I mean,
this
I
beautiful
was
thing
gonna
that
say
he said?
that's why
I
I'm not
mean,
going next. Yeah, Chip, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, how can I compete with that?
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, he's right. I mean, in the beginning, it was almost this unachievable expectation growing up
To be a man? Yeah,
because
yeah.
in my head, I'm like, the superhero, that's exactly what I'm going to be. I'm going to save the world. And all of it, it's going to be on my shoulders, and I'm going to give peace and hope to everybody. And then as you grow up, like you said earlier, life just kicked you in the nuts, and you were like, oh, how things change. And it's like, it just taught me how to. Men is not always about how loud you can get or how much weight you can carry. Sometimes it's about how soft can you actually speak.
Ooh.
How, in tune can you be with what the people around you need? Do you see that need constantly of people around you? Because, again, just like you, they might not use words, but their body language could tell you everything that you need to know. Are you sensitive enough to see that? Are you careful enough to actually stop once in a while and assess not only your life, but like David said, the people around you that you surround yourself with? It's not always just about your need, it's about theirs. But maybe they see how stressful you are, or I mean, not stressful, like stressed out you are, how, the problems that you're facing. So it's like, how can they come and add more to that? But how much more different would it be like if we just pause in the middle of our chaos to be like, man, it's not just me. I am who I am because the people that I surrounded myself with, the family that I have, the friends that I call family, and brothers and sisters and all that. So I feel like for me, that's a man, like exactly what David was saying. It's just, I don't care about, you can go to the gym and lift 1,000 pounds. Been there, done that. And and it just doesn't register for me as much as when I hear some dude just, when he sees a problem, in the middle of his run, boom, straight up breaks, turns around, and runs towards that problem and be like, okay, I'm here. Whatever you need, even if you gotta scream, unload, and I'll leave, but at least I was there. I was that punching bag. But sometimes it's very hard. It's very hard to accept it because, again, sometimes we talked about in the beginning, we do turn back to the default settings that we want to have that control. But nowhere in the Bible does it say that, a man should do that. I mean, it clearly says that even from the beginning, when God created Adam and Eve, it says about the man that man will leave his mother and father and be one with his wife. It doesn't say nothing about the wife. It's about us. It's about, we are that stewardship, or the captains of the boat, if you want to say it like that. Because even though, like, sometimes, yeah, I feel like my wife, she's very, she's got a really strong will, and she's very outspoken. But if she knows that the boat is on the right track, and it's being controlled wisely, she just, I wouldn't say like submissive, but she's on point. Like, I see and I feel that support from her.
Trusting.
Correct. I don't have to be combative with her over power, like who has more control. Like David said, it's a 50-50. And it's a beautiful thing when, sometimes just be like, well, I'm tired of, controlling this. So here you go. You do it your way. Because I know that the way you do it, we're going to be just fine.
You know, you both hit on really good ideas on what I used to also see a man as. And something you said earlier about, in the action movies and, Stallone and Arnold and stuff, that was totally like my thing, where I wanted to be the hero. I wanted, to shoot the guns and all that stuff. And it's funny because I guess when you're younger, maybe in your teens even, you're like hot blooded. You have such a high ego about yourself. You're untouchable, you feel. So it's almost like you're seeking violence in a way. Like you're seeking thrill. You're
Yeah.
seeking risk. But as I got older and I realized the smart man, the wise man, actually is seeking peace. Because he did the violence, he did the risk, and he realized, like, not that violence and risk is not part of it, but you got to be wise about it. If you seek that violence and risk in the wrong areas, you can put yourself in unnecessary situations. And as you get older, I feel like and you said it too, right? When you're younger, you look at the scary guy as the guy's like, hey, motherfucker, like really scary, like he's very vocal, like huge, massive dude. And then as you get older, you realize the really dangerous one in the room is the quiet one. It's like, what?
What's he scheming over there?
Yeah. When everything's hitting the fan, it's the one that was quiet and the calm one that you have to look out for. Because there's, in the middle of that chaos, in the middle of the war, he's at peace. That's a dude that's been through stuff.
Yeah.
Because the world will be like, they'll follow through. Well, they'll follow with it the crowd. Everyone's in chaos. Everyone's running around. Everyone's going to do, like, the ones that are quiet, the ones that have been tested, the ones that have been in battle, the ones that have seen risk and violence, they're like, okay, I've been here before.
They're hard to submit.
Yeah. So yeah, my vision and identity, how I see men now are different. It's not the loud. It's not those, big bad guys that physically they may be, scary like a Goliath, right?
Yeah.
You got to watch out for the Davids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me?
I'm like, huh? But yeah, man, like
I do tend to be more quiet, like.
but there's a wisdom and there's a grace behind that. It's most people won't get it. You ever seen like it was big on social media where they'll be like they'll put two pictures. One's like crazy big ass like bodybuilder, and the other one's like a jujitsu like black
Mm-hmm.
belt, and they're like, which one here looks dangerous, or which one would you be afraid of? Everyone says the big bodybuilder guy, but then they're like, no, actually, it's this guy that will actually take you out sooner than you think. And I remember, at the at the PD when we would get into fights, and I would see these big, like, Samoans are huge, and we've gotten to our fair share of scuffles with them. And I remember, like, dude, this dude's a freaking mountain of a man. Like, this dude, like, we're gonna get into a fight, and then we get into a fight, and what happens is when you got so much mass,
Yeah.
so much muscle, you need a lot of oxygen to fuel that, and you gas out quickly. And I'm like, dude, you were big, bad, and scary, but after 2 minutes, you're done, son. Like, you just have to outlast the fear and
Yeah.
weather the storm a little bit, but it's not that bad. So the image of a man in my mind has changed as well.
That's the scariest dude too, man, because it's like I always go around and like I always have a temper when I drive, but more and more, it's like I see these like videos and whatever. This like skinny, scrawny dude, like knocked out 3 dudes,
Yeah,
and it's like I don't want to be that dude, like on the
Yeah.
receiving end, and
Yeah.
be like world star, right there.
Yeah.
Some dude got knocked out.
But it's interesting, man, when you look at like some of the most like confident and powerful men I've been around have been very meek. They're not the loud like look at me, but they're just so meek is the best word to describe it. Like a confident, humble.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting, and you think about kids and teens growing up today, and what's their definition of a man going to look like? It's very different from when we were growing up.
Followers on TikTok, how many you got?
Exactly,
That's,
exactly.
that's what it is.
The values are different.
What do you drive?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of house you live in?
That is it.
It's all going to be the materialistic, at least that's where I see it going.
I agree. I totally agree. And it's like, I think there's less and less men standing up for the right things. One, because people are afraid of being canceled or afraid of the consequences.
But you can still speak your like. I know we joke around a lot, right? But at the end of the day, I know I joke around a lot. I love everyone. So for me, it's like I can still speak my personal beliefs, and I think this is where people get things wrong is you can still have an opinion on thing because my opinions are based in faith, right? And what I know is right and wrong. But I also love everyone because God loves everyone,
Yeah.
right? There's no like you can have your opinion while still being like, okay, but you're still a child of God. I may not agree with you, but you're still a child of God. And people have to realize that. And I think we wouldn't have this issue of like arguments and all these different like, oh, cancel culture, right? Because someone has a different opinion than you. A lot of people base their whole lives on their beliefs. Judaism, Islam, they're very strong in their faith.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning like, nope, this is what it says, and we're not deviating
Like black and
from
white.
this. Yeah, like, a lot of it is black and white. But even in Islam, it says love each other. They all say the same things. Between Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, it's love each other, love other people.
Mm.
And that's really what the world needs. So if someone has a different opinion than you, it doesn't mean cancel them. You also have to understand that some people have different views. Maybe it's a cultural reason that they believe what they believe. It could be religious, cultural. And then we have these societal views that really just mean nothing because, oh, that's just what other people think.
But where do we draw the line of like standing up for our beliefs, right? I'm not disagreeing with you, but in my mind, I look at, okay,
I know where my mind is going, and I'm sure yours is going there.
where's it going? Because I don't know. I'm like, I might be going the wrong way here, buddy.
No, but I mean, exactly, because that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's gonna come a point where, sorry, but we're gonna have to stand up because it's gonna be too late.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
gonna be
yeah, yeah,
too
yeah.
late.
That's a great way.
You know, because look at the Nazis too, like what they did.
Yes, yes.
You know, the first two churches didn't stand up, and then the other ones. And then guess what? By the time they already took out the majority, and the people that were left, it really didn't matter. They just fell in line after that.
You know, I think it was like 16,000 churches, and only 4,000
Yes.
stood up
Mm-hmm.
to oppose Hitler, and the other 12,000 didn't say anything. So then, one by one, he chipped away at it until there was nobody left to say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I am right now, and the fear of us as a society going, excuse my French, but batshit crazy. And this is the world my kids have to grow up in.
Yeah.
So now I look at, okay, I used to be like, well, that's somebody else's problem. That's somebody else's problem. Somebody will fix that. Someone will put something together. Nope.
It's at your doorsteps.
Yep,
Knocking.
exactly. And that's where I'm like, okay. I'm the type of person that's like, I don't want to complain about anything without offering a solution, or at least trying to get to something to find a solution. So, you know, I'm like, hey, you know what can I do? Because we can't control what other people do, but what can I do? How can I start with me and lead by example? And hopefully that just spiders out into my community, my relationships, other people in my life. How do we start there in my home? Because you said in the beginning, part of being a man is not being passive, right? And then part of building the relationship with God is knowing what He cares about, knowing what is on His heart, what pisses Him off, what does He find detestable. One of those things, when you know these when people, I was about to say when men, but people hurt children, like that doesn't get a. This is probably my violent side coming out, but like, you know, that doesn't get a pass for me.
Right.
And I know I'm supposed to love you. I'm supposed to pray for you, and I know like God can forgive you and God can turn you around. But if you cross my path, like we just happen to be in alignment there, and we are at the wrong. You are at the wrong place, and I'm at the wrong. It just there will be a decision, and I probably will have no problem sleeping that night.
Yep.
Because that's how. It's not just God finding it detestable, but that is a red button for me.
Yeah.
It's why we do what we do here in Redwood. People think like, okay, people support us and, you know, whatever, we're just getting new equipment and stuff. Like, no, we're helping these organizations and companies who are battling trafficking.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not going to wait until it's too late.
But if
Yeah, I don't think we have to wait. I just think that at the core, when it comes to like personal feelings on things, it's very easy to let your emotions get into it.
Mm.
And at that point, I don't think the human mind, or most human minds, are strong enough to keep God in it.
Mm.
And that's where it gets dangerous. And that's because right now, even in today's society, you're either Republican or you're Democratic. Give me a side. You got to choose a side. What side are you on? There's no aspect of like, hey, I see your views and I can understand. I don't think you're a terrible person because of your views. I still give you like respect and all that, you know, because that's God does that for us. But
Sorry.
respectfully, I don't agree due to my own reasons. But there is none of that anymore
No,
in society. You're either this or you're that. Pick.
because unfortunately, a lot of the men didn't step up when they needed to be a man. And we see it. Like, it was easier to put the kid in front of a computer or of a laptop or
Oof.
iPad or whatever, and you see the end result because that kid was not, or that child was not fed, the values, the morals. We have a saying in Romanian. It's like, I'm gonna say it in Romanian, then I'm gonna translate it. "Cei 7 ani de acasă," meaning like those 7 years from home before you reach school. Like, I feel like that's what basically what your parents instill in you to get you ready for life.
Dude.
But I feel like if that blueprint is tainted, how can you, if like from the beginning, it's like, well, I see, I mean, because, right, like, I mean, as a child, I remember, like, you have those innocent eyes that, and curiosity, right? It's that you're probably willing to accept anything and everything. And if you're not steward the right way, you will become this, well, he's okay. And what? Also, he's okay. And that's okay. And this is okay. And what to David was saying, it's like we lose that connection with, well, what does God say it's okay?
Yeah.
And how do you try to implement that back? Because I wouldn't say that there's a point of no return, but it would be very hard for somebody when it reaches that deep, dark end to be able to come back from it.
Yeah.
Or to be able to like try to bring them back to the light. Because they're already set in their ways. So
Yeah.
how can you take them out of that and trying to teach them like new tricks?
I mean, really, at that point, you're kind of like at a crossroads where, you're at that darkest place in your life, and you can eventually turn around and you become so much of a greater believer, and your faith is strengthened tenfold, and you're like, wow, I really believe. Like we said earlier, because I've been in the darkness, I can appreciate the light. Or you stay on that path and you just go into that deep end, and at one point, you know, it's just like you are so far from where you came from.
But that's the thing. I feel like the beauty about people that have gone through the dark is because you recognize darkness
Yeah.
and you can relate and you can see because of the light. Now you have that X factor or whatever because you have the light that you could actually travel through that darkness to pull that guy out of the darkness that he
Exactly.
doesn't see.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's kind of like that 99. Again, we're jumping back to the 99 to 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That is our calling.
Yes.
Like, that is our mission. That is our, we got to give that hope. When I said, like, it might be too late. No, I don't think it's ever too late until you have breath in your lungs because God has given us every single opportunity to come back, even the thief on the cross. Remember that. Christ was the first one into the kingdom, but the first one after that was that thief that lived a sinful life all the way up till his last moment. So God is so gracious, that even at that moment, he can still grant us repentance and forgiveness. And he's ready and he's willing to. But it's like he gave us a gift, and our gift, or maybe my gift, is that having that flashlight and going in that darkness. He allowed me to come out of that, and he equipped me for battle, not for me to go forward, but to go back into that darkness that I just came out of and try to get as many people out as I can.
And it's hard to speak from a place of like authenticity, because other than if you've never been through it, you're just speaking theory.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, for me, it's hard to relate to people like that where you're just trying to teach me something that you've never done yourself. then that's not going to stick with me. I think a lot of men are like that, where, again, we go back to the fruit. You're going to tell me to, and I think this is why it's so important to have counsel. Why I have men like you guys in my circle. Like, outside of doing a podcast together, this is great, right? Outside of that, we have our conversations throughout the week, not just as a group, but as individuals. And I really take those moments and conversations I have with you guys as wise counsel, because you give me perspective that, again, earlier I was like getting like all heated and then David's like, yeah, cool your shit, bro. And, essentially, and I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. I get that.
Big-
But you need that.
And like you said, it comes back to the counsel, because in those moments you need people like David to calm you down. But then you're also gonna have to have somebody like, yo, we're ready to go to
We
war.
need to ramp up. Yeah,
like
it
come
is.
on, like step on it.
It is. It is. It is. So, but then you also need to have that relationship with God yourself, so that when you're hearing these different perspectives, okay, God's like telling you this, he's also telling you this. Now, like, okay, how are you interpreting that?
Mm-hmm.
How is it all coming together? You guys may have brought it out of the light, but now it's up to me to make that decision.
Yeah.
And if I don't know God, if I don't have that relationship with him, my decisions are going to be based off of very limited knowledge and experience.
That's why we need to pray for God to soften our hearts,
Yeah.
so that we can take other opinions and also have sympathy towards other people. But at the same time, we also have to pray for God to strengthen our willpower, so that we can stand firm in our beliefs and take action when needed.
Mm-hmm.
It's critical.
It is. It is. And I think like certain people are probably, God designed a little bit for one or the other a little bit more.
Yes.
A little bit more. Some are a little more gung ho, and I think some people need to be reached that way. Some people need to be spoken a certain way. I think I've used this example so many times where you get 2-time felons on the streets, and if you try to talk to them like yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am,
Yeah.
no ma'am, it's not gonna sit with them, and they're just gonna look at you as a rookie. They're not gonna take you seriously. They're not gonna have the respect for you. But sometimes and I'm sorry, Ba, I know you're listening and you told me to stop, but sometimes you gotta be like, shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down. And that's what they understand, and that is what they get. And it's not in a derogatory way, it's more of a communal way, right? Because he gets me, he sounds like me. And you said it to me a lot, like to the Greeks he became a Greek, to the Romans he became a Roman. And you're not transforming to please them, but you are coming to a little bit more proximity within them.
Mm-hmm.
You're not letting them influence you. You're just coming close enough so that you can influence them. And that's a dangerous place, because if you get too close, just like these detectives that they go into drug busts, and they pretend to be like drug dealers and stuff. Getting in too deep is a real thing, because you start hanging around those guys, that becomes your new counsel. That will become your new mindset. Like, you will start to think like a crook. You will start to act like a crook. You will speak like a crook and sound like a crook. And pretty soon, if you don't watch yourself, you become a crook.
That's why we need the willpower.
Mm.
We also need soften our hearts so we can understand these people and show them compassion.
Yeah.
And show, what God has shown us to others. So, balancing out.
I love it, man. I literally love it, because if Fred over here, he's the type of dude who's like, yeah, shoot him in the face. And David's like, let's take a step back.
Yeah.
Let's take a step back. And you need both.
100%.
You need both.
Yeah.
I think because as men, we're so dynamic. We have this aggressive side, we have this competitive side, we have this warrior, and we have this king, and we have his lover, and we have this friend. How do we become a warrior, but at the same time be soft like a lover?
I'm juggling it, because at times I can be that person.
Oh, yeah.
100%. But I'm finding more and more that reaching people is easier from the lover perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you said it right, David. It's just this constant balance that we have to always, because even when we did the series, it's just, a well-equipped man is someone that can transition from one to another and like that.
I'm not
'Cause
great at transitioning,
me neither.
but I found that relationships get built easier with the soft heart. When I have to defend what I believe in, I'm all for it. Let's go.
Yeah.
I believe it, because there have been moments in this on the podcast, and we've talked about it before. I'm like, bro, David just lit up. The moment when we spoke to those men at the men's group at the event that
Yeah.
we did at, you stepped up, and I was like, yo, David, bro, he
Well, you
can't.
saw the room too, like as like their eyes
Yeah,
like
dude.
locked in on him.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that you can't be that warrior, or he can't, or Fredo can't be the lover, but again, the transition part is hard. But when we have counsel like this, it's like you're speeding that transition part easier and faster. Because for me, I'm trying. So like right now, let's say I got my warrior hat on, right, and I need to transition more into lover. But you may be really good at lover. So for me, I'm trying to like slowly wind down and decompress and try to get into the lover. But you can be like, yeah, do. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, perfect. So the exchange of knowledge and the exchange of information in this council is so much better, because you're not just doing it yourself. You're getting it from men who have
Yeah.
done there and who've done that, and that's probably one of their specialties and gifts. Where it's struggle for me, it's easy peasy for you. And that's why you need a diverse. You do not need an echo chamber. Most men will seek echo chambers where other men look like them, sound like them, will be like them. And you're all just clones of each other. There's no difference. Like, yes, we all love Jesus. We all are seeking a better relationship with him. We have that underlying theme. But the way we express things may be different. And most people will run away from that. But I actually think that's the way to run towards.
I agree.
It's like not having a Swiss Army knife in your pocket, but rather having like a hammer and pliers, a screwdriver. And like that's who you need to surround. Like, yes, people that can do two functions. I'm sure you've used a screwdriver as a hammer, right? Like sometimes you can do that, but people with different gifts surrounding yourself with getting all those bases covered
Correct.
rather than, oh yeah, I'm kind of great. I'm okay at a bunch of things, but
But man, that's such a beautiful picture, like what you just said. Because how different would it look that even though you got a screwdriver, but you can actually fine tune it, that you can use it as a hammer? That's a skill set of somebody that can just adapt quick and turn, somewhat of a bad situation into a great one.
Yep.
And I feel like that's what we're called to do. To basically value what we have and use what we have.
Correct.
Not strive to achieve something else and then use it.
Mm-hmm.
When we already have enough and we're equipped enough to do as much damage to the enemy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, no. If I acquired and this, then I would be ready.
yeah, people use that. Oh, I'll finally be happy when I get this. No, you won't.
Yeah.
No, you won't.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you'll want something else. And this biggest trap people fall into.
Yeah.
When I get that promotion, I'm happy. When I get that car, I'm happy.
You won't.
Assignment lasts for a week. Seek out the eternal excitement.
Yeah, that's it.
So with that, the party never dies.
That's awesome. I think we did a pretty good job covering what a man is. Maybe we didn't say per definition like a man is blank, blank, blank. But I think we just went deep into like, hey, these are the many facets of a man. These are real conversations that this conversation right here, I needed this. I personally needed this reminder today. Even though we're in this all the time, this is like what we do. But it's almost like, picking your head up and let's look at the bricks that we're laying. Is it still straight? Is it still in the direction we
that's
want to go?
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Because so often, I know for me, I'm a workhorse. I am good with putting my head down, laying brick after brick after brick after brick, and boom, 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 boom. I don't take enough time to be like, look up. Am I still in the direction I want to go? Oh, how the heck did I end up here? I got to recalibrate, shift a little bit this way, brick, 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 brick. And I have to make that a steady rhythm in my life where I put my head down and lay the bricks, then I pick my head up to make sure I'm still in that direction I need to go. Most men are only good at one or the other. I feel like I feel I'm a visionary by nature. I like to be my head up in the clouds and dream and create. So I personally like to just keep my head up and look at the long term. Oh, it could be this, it could be that, but we've got to slow down. Sometimes we need to be in a season to put our head down, lay some bricks, and then transition into pick your head up, see where you're going. This is what today was all about. So I appreciate you, gentlemen.
Good to be here.
Appreciate you.
It's good stuff.
It was like you said, it was a good reminder, because what David was saying, just relax, bro. It's not always about trying to get your way. Take a chill pill.
Mm-hmm.
You do more damage by
like,
being soft.
Let go, let God.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure I saw that Hobby Lobby.
Pretty sure. I think I saw you wearing that shirt last Sunday. Or something. No, I appreciate you, gentlemen. Have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank
God
you.
be with
You will be
both.
missed. You will be missed.
I'll be on Wednesday.
You'll be on Wednesday. And yeah, be safe. Enjoy your time. And we'll see you when you get back. Cool?
Amen. Amen. Redwood out.
There
Yeah, okay.
we go. There we go.
Sorry, a little rusty.